by EXO Auto Works. EXO Auto Works is Colorado Springs' home of the $40 synthetic blend oil change. Call now, 719-375-3232, or visit exoautoworks.com to make your appointment. Enharmonic Studios. Enharmonic Studios is a hybrid digital analog facility designed to be quality and affordable to anyone who wants to make history. Call today, 719-963-2020, or go to facebook.com/Enharmonic Studios. Madrid Maintenance. Madrid Maintenance offers excellent handyman services in the Colorado Springs area, starting at just $35 an hour. You can reach them by phone at 719-963-2020 or online at facebook.com/Madrid Maintenance. Trevor's Beard is brought to you by The Beard Struggle. The Beard Struggle is my go-to for beard hygiene and styling products. So you should click the link below and use the code TLANE15, that's TLANE15, for 15% off your order. The Toolbar, our new line of handmade soap produced in partnership with Crafts by Carolyn Lane, available on Etsy. This soap packs a punch of manly scent like oak and fig, fresh cut lumber, cedar, and more masculine fragrances being developed all the time. With a soft touch of natural oils to cleanse and moisturize, use the link below to buy the Toolbar now. Once you try it, you'll never want to wash with anything else.
Bicycle.
From EXO Auto Works. Streaming all over the world. It's your weekly dose of toxic masculinity. With Eric Madrid and Trevor Lane. It's Man Tools.
Man Tools. Good one, Trev.
Yeah, that lady could easily be our tool of the week.
Just ran right out into traffic.
Well, she saw there was a guy that crossed like a second before her, and I guess she went, "Oh, I think I can make it."
Obviously never played Frogger as a kid, so
even though this bicycle race through Spain is coming right down the road.
Good job, lady. Good job. Well, welcome to another thrilling installment of Man Tools Media here on the everywhere you get media. Wherever you're pooping, that's where you can find us.
Yeah.
Wherever you have signal. Broadcasting out of the EXO Auto Works here in just outside downtown Colorado Springs. It's a cool little shop. You can see it all behind us. They're down there working right now. So if
they sure are.
You hear some power tools, it's just guys putting in work after hours. It is what it is. So it's 7:30 man time. Don't know what time it is where you are, but I had a really fun conversation with a gentleman who called me Sunday during the day while I was working in the studio with some clients. And he says, "Hello, this is Bob." Right. Sure, it is Bob. Right. I'm like, "So how you doing, Bob?" "Oh, this call will be recorded." I'm like, "That's good. You can listen back to it later tonight." So the band was freaking out because we were waiting for stuff to render. It wasn't like I was wasting their time in the studio.
Right.
But I kept him on the phone for about 30 minutes, just asking him stuff and seeing, I was like, "What time is it over there, bud?" And he's like, "Well, I need to get your information." "Well, I'm not going to give it to you." So we've established that. So, are they making you work nights or, just started just all the most ridiculous shit I could think of to talk to him about. What's the weather like over there?
Where did Bob say he was?
Well, he kept saying.
Did you get into that?
Yeah, he kept saying, I'm somewhere Texas. I'm like, "Oh, the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Is it nighttime there?" "It is night." "Oh, so not Texas." Like, I was like, "Man, do you get a raise? Did you get a pay differential for working night shift?" He's like, "What's that?" "I think I might have started a revolution." I was like, "If this call's being recorded and monitored, somebody heard pay differential. What's that? For working nights? You get that? What the hell?" They might have started a a union. I asked him too. I was like, "Are you guys on union? Like, do you get?" Oh my god, I just fucked with him so bad. I'm like, well, let me call you on what's your day off? He's like, Thursday. I was like, okay, what's your number? I'm gonna call you at home, see how you're doing. Give me a call back, all right, Bob? I'm gonna call you that day. Is this your home number? Can I get your home number?
No.
Just your cell, bro. You got my cell number. It's right there. Have a little sign of trust.
That's awesome.
Such a dick. And the band's just trying not to laugh. And then I started trying to get them to talk to him, like, mess with him.
Here,
so,
talk to
George. I'm recording a metal band right now. Do you like metal? I like, and he's named off some rad band from, Bangladesh or Kashmir or somewhere, right? And I was like, one of the dudes was like, oh yeah, I love those guys. I'm like, yeah, talk to Bob. Just piped up off the couch. A conversation about,
they're actually really good.
Oh yeah, the singer's like badass. And then, that was so good. So good. If you can't have fun with your crank callers, what's the point?
There you go.
My favorite was the lady who called a few weeks back about my extended warranty.
Yes.
On my, 15-year-old vehicle.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, look, Bob.
I get those calls too. It's like, it's a 2006 Honda Pilot.
Yeah. Pretty sure there's nothing extended or warranted on this. I told him, I will give you a cookie if you give me any kind of warranty on this. If you're able to sign me up for anything. Can you verify the vehicle? Like, well, you tell me what it is and I'll verify it. And they're like, well, no, I need you to verify. Like, verify means
how this works.
You tell me what it is.
Yeah.
And I verify that. I confirm what you're telling me.
Sorry. Honest, we're professional broadcasters here.
Yeah, it's a real podcast. Anyways, well, back to country music.
The craziest one of those I had, I got a call from the real deal number of my credit union, and they asked all the right questions to make me think it was a real thing, and then I forget what they wanted from me. And I'm like, well, I don't really have that right now. Can I call you back? And they're like, sure. So I get home. I call the 1-800 number for the bank. I'm like, I was talking to somebody about this, and they're like, what? He asked you for that over the phone? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we would never do that. That's a fraud attempt. And I'm like, it came up with your number. They're like
your number.
There are people that can spoof numbers.
They spoofed it. My biggest thing I'm worried about my Grammy. Then they get a hold of her phone number and try to ask her for that stuff. She'll give it to them.
Yeah. I got a frantic call from my mom that my dad was on the phone. He got one of those messages. You need to call Microsoft support right now from some website. And he was on the phone with him and about to give him his social security number. I'm like, hang up on him.
Hang up a phone.
But the computer is going to, I'm like, it is not. It's a website that tells you that, and nothing is wrong with your computer. It's fine.
I get those spoof things that come in and says, we have, how did the text go? It said something to the effect of, we took control of your camera and your web browser, and we know what you were looking at, and we took pictures of what you were doing. And if you don't want them leaked all over the internet, you should, you need to send us like $500 in crypto right now. I legitimately took a dick pic and sent it to him. I totally did. I was like, here you go. Send that out there. If you make money off of it, good on you. Good luck.
I forget who I heard say this, but I often joke that I do this. I don't in actuality, but just send dick pics to the NSA.
Here you go. Here you go.
There you go, fellas.
Well, those guys, those spammers, I was like, well, if you're gonna make money off of this, like, give me a cut later. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
True stories about spam calls. Not where you thought we were going tonight with.
It is not. No, not quite.
Well, tonight we do have a good show. Not that it hasn't been good so far, because it hasn't. we have a fun guest tonight who actually confirmed.
He did. I'm just waiting for him to pop up in Skype, and then we'll start talking to him. I hope.
Possibly.
Yeah, he actually said earlier today, "Oh, this time my time," and I'm like, "That sounds correct."
Yep, man tools standard time. Boom.
There he goes.
And look at that. That's like timing, bro.
That's it.
Definite timing. Well, we're gonna get Ryan on the line. Eventually. Possibly. Love that sound. You guys love that sound, don't you? How come we can't answer him?
No, I initiated the call.
Oh.
There he is.
What's going on, fellas?
Welcome to the show, Ryan. Braves is what I have, but a different last name showed up in the Skype, so I'm going with Braves.
Do it.
Done.
You are from ascensionbydesign.com. So I guess let's start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and what Ascension by Design is.
Yeah, man. I appreciate time being here. I think this will be pretty fun. So essentially, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a bunch of different businesses, but probably going back like 3-4 years ago, I did someone a favor and coached someone. I tried to help mentor them in business. And that's kind of where this started. We helped this entrepreneur essentially scale his business from where he was to where he is now. And while that's super cool, helping people in business, I had a deeper calling to really help people, not just in business, but also in their life as a father and a husband. So at Ascension by Design, we essentially bring those three things together. We take people that are, whether they're struggling in business or successful in business, and make sure that they're able to grow their business, create leverage in their business, but also be the husband and father they're called to be. So we work people through that process and, help them essentially live the life they were created to live.
That sounds
like
amazing.
Sounds
rad.
like I need to sign up. I mean, that's not even kidding. I got home yesterday. My old lady's like, "Who are you?" Like, forgot what I look like. Swear to God.
I was that person too, man. And I actually used to pride myself on being that person. And it actually makes me cringe when I think back on the things I used to do or the things I used to say when I used to wear that badge of honor. So I'm with you.
That's interesting. We should expand on that, because I think a lot of guys, I'm totally guilty. You put your self-worth and your pride in your business or your job, and that's the like you said, the badge of honor, and you justify a whole lot of things like missing out on dinners or birthdays, or you justify it by saying, look, hey, I got to do this, I got to do that. This isn't a 40-hour week. This isn't a 40-hour week job. This is a 60-hour week job. And they're, guilty. I'm so guilty. Now, what part, I mean, it is cringeworthy, but what really makes you cringe on that stuff?
So the even worse part is the fact that I have a wife that was understanding of that lifestyle. She supported me in that lifestyle because she knew at the time that's what I wanted to do. That was like who I was growing, creating these businesses and working those. I mean, there was a point in time where I had 6 different businesses and I was working 100 to 110 hours a week. And literally I prided myself on the ability to be able to do that. And again, she was my then girlfriend who became my fiance, who then became my wife, that was literally standing beside me the entire way, being like, I support you in anything. And I'll never forget, I was giving a talk to a large group of people. It was when my wife was just starting to show. She was about like 4 or 5 months pregnant. And I remember saying to this, like about 60, 70 people, that my role was the provider, that my wife understood full well that I was going to be the one that was out earning the money and providing a lifestyle for the family. And she understood that. And I'll never forget, because she was sitting in the back of the room. And like, when I think back on that, it really makes me cringe to almost, I was boasting that I wasn't going to be around and be home as a husband or father. And I'm like, my God, I totally missed the mark when I was there. And I thought, like, I thought that was what I was supposed to do as the man. And literally, like, that's an embarrassing thing. I mean, I tell that story all the time, but still to this day, it's super embarrassing for me that I was actually up there, again, trying to wear that badge of honor. So I've learned.
Yeah. That's and I think that's something that everyone struggles with, and I think it's become even worse because of the pressure now for both parents to have careers and to work. Because then you end up basically handing your kids off to strangers and paying them to to raise them,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So one of the things I focus on as part of what I do is I don't think that has to be the case. Like, I believe if you learn a skill set and you learn some tools and you understand how to leverage time and you learn how to build a culture and a team and you do all these things, you can actually have more free time than you could have thought you had. And then with that free time, you can actually allocate it towards the things that you are supposed to do, right? To be home for dinner with your kids, to make sure, like this weekend, my oldest son, he's 4 years old. He has hockey and soccer and baseball lessons, and we're gonna walk around the neighborhood in his Halloween costume. And like, I won't touch anything for work, the entire weekend. And that's not an aberration. That's like the norm for me. We go to church, we do all that stuff as a family, because I've designed my life that way. Now, that wasn't not always the case. That's now.
Well, tell us a little bit about that process, though, going from that mindset then, when you were, I'm the provider, and
well, I mean, if you're going to let him give away his secrets, I mean, we got to put a paywall up or something. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man, I truly believe that, like, people go through a tremendous amount of pain in this life. If you speak to most people are miserable. They're literally sleepwalking through life, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So I think if people can grasp anything from this, it's that doesn't have to be the case. But for me, my wife ended up having that first baby, my oldest son, Blake, and I proceeded as normal, right? I proceeded working, those 80, 90, 100-hour weeks. And a lot of people say when they had their first kid, everything in life changed, like upon the birth of that child. And for me, it didn't. I mean, I was happy to be a father. I thought it was amazing to be a father. I loved that baby, but it wasn't the same feeling that my wife had, right? My wife carried that baby, grew that baby, and that baby came out. They had that connection. So for me, I was happy to be the father, but nothing really changed for me as far as my daily activities. And then I'll never forget, it was when my son started to sit up, kind of semi on his own, but semi in the chair. And I walked through the door, and it was the first time that I knew that he knew that I was there. Like, when I walked in, he actually recognized me, and like, he had an expression on his face. It was like he was happy that I was home. And it was in that moment that I'm like, I can't do this. I can't just let this kid grow up, quote unquote, with a father, because I'm still there, but really without the guidance of a father.
Right.
So I said things have to change. I have to find a better way to make all this stuff work. And I wasn't just happy with, okay, well, we have to downgrade our lifestyle, right? Like, I've provided a lifestyle that my wife was used to, that I want my son to have, things I never had. I want to be able to create experiences for my family. So I had to create a better way. So I started to look a little deeper as to how I can still do that financially while still being the father that I'm supposed to be, and also support my wife and be the husband I'm supposed to be. So it was some self-exploration there for sure.
Yeah. The kind of before story that you're telling reminds me of my dad has a friend, not just one, he has many friends, but the one I'm thinking of is a dude that he knew in high school, and every once in a while they would do these they weren't like official reunions, but it was a bunch of the guys in the class reconnected, especially in the age of the internet, which is very easy to do. And there was one guy in particular, he was like the chief something officer of a big defense contractor. And when he would show up to these events that they would plan, and you're talking people traveling from various parts of the country to hang out together, he'd constantly still be working. He'd be on his, back then it was like a BlackBerry or something. And I remember my dad being kind of like, well, what's the point of getting to a job where you make that kind of money if all you're doing with your money is continuing to work? And my dad's like in his 60s. So it was kind of like,
yeah,
I get that you're not ready to retire, but when are you going to enjoy this?
Yeah,
this vast income that you're taking in.
I've got a curveball for Ryan. My biggest situation is that I converted my hobbies into my income. So like I don't want to stop. Like there are days I just don't want to. All my hobbies, all the shit I would do on my day off, is the stuff that I make money doing. So that's where I run into some of those problems. I 10, 11, 12, 2 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, but I'm almost there. Like I've almost got this done, and yeah, therein lies my problem.
See, you're asking me what I would say to that. I would say, number one, you're never there, right? Because otherwise you stop growing and improving on what you do. And if you love it that much, you're going to continue to always push. So I think it's really defining exactly what it is you want, and then looking at your life, right? I don't know your life situation, but if you are married, if you have kids, if you do have kids rather, it's like, who do you want them to know you as? And I think when you have that understanding, if you're like, listen, I want them to know me as the guy who created the next Apple. Keep pushing, keep grinding. That's okay. Just that's what they'll know you as. If you want them to know you as something different, then you got to pivot a little bit, or include them in it. Like for me, if it wasn't so late where I was, one of my sons would probably be here on this podcast with me or sitting next to me. I try to incorporate them in as much of what I do as possible. If I take phone calls, if I'm coaching with clients, I'll go for a run, right? Have a coaching call and take 2 out of the 3 of my sons with me, so they could see what I'm doing and what I'm building and what I'm growing and how I'm helping people. So, and I love that, because my 4-year-old will ask me questions afterwards. So I think there's a way to make it all happen. If you want to, and if you don't, that's okay too. Like there's nothing that says it has to be the way I have it, or it has to be the way you have it. I think you define it as you want. And I think once you become clear on that, then you can proceed as you would.
Yeah. But for those listening, like the disconnect I have is that there are other things that I'd like to do, even outside of those hobbies, like travel. That's just one example, right? So making the time to do that, not just booking out clients from now till the 12th of whenever, it's hard not to do. And it's hard to say no when we got like a half a day off and somebody says, hey, I want to record some guitars. I'm like, yep, I'm ready. Let's do it. I'll be there Saturday morning. We'll fucking rock and roll, bro. Like, it's hard for me to just say no because of all the stuff that pops up. So it's and then having the, I think too, just having too many irons in the fire. I've tried to look at it like this. Like, I like to cook. I'm a fat fuck, so I eat a lot, and I like to cook. It's just the thing. I need to stop cooking meatloaf, spaghetti, and enchilada casserole all at the same time. That sounds good. Right? I need to stop the whole too many pots going, too many whatever metaphor you want to throw at it. It's that legitimately is my problem. Like, poor Trevor. I leave you hanging on this show like
sometimes
30% of the time.
I even have a cutout of Eric that I just pop up.
That's good. Like the cardboard guy. I like that.
Boom. It's way more handsome than the real thing. Where did we have those shot? That was done for real. That was a for real photo shoot.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Anyway.
It immortalizes you.
I know, right? And feel like I'm catfishing our audience when Trevor does that. Goodness. Well, let's see. Yeah, that's all very interesting. I'm becoming a little more introspective, and might hit up your website here just to come,
You can always have a conversation. But listen, man, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to do a lot of things. Like for me, I am super interested in a tremendous amount of things. That's one of the reasons why I actually love working with clients across all industries. I mean, I have people in the retail industry, people in the health and wellness industry, people in the financial sector. I'm super interested in a ton of different shit. But I don't try to be. I used to try to do everything. And now I no longer try to be the expert in everything. I say, okay, like there's a priority list to everything. And I think if you just work at one thing at a time until it's time to move on to the next thing, you could be super successful and you don't have, 12 different things in the fire, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to say a while back, but it's been more than a while back. We did a thing on starting over.
Yep.
And one of the things we went into was when you're like looking at finances. And one of the things I dug up and found was prioritizing your bills, which I don't know, until close to that time, I didn't look at, well, this bill is actually more important in terms of like what it'll do to your credit if you don't pay it. That bill is less important. And so like I have a little spreadsheet now when I go through my bills, and they're like numbered and sorted by how important they are. And if I get down to I only have this many dollars left, and I'm picking and choosing, it's the ones that are at the bottom of the list that I'm like, well, you're not getting paid this one. Uh-huh. And that can be a tough kind of realization to come to, is that you do kind of need to prioritize whether it's time or money, what's going to come in and what's going to go out. And there may be some things that you go, this isn't as worth my time as maybe something else.
And I would just say, just to put my 2 cents in there, I would say go one step further. I have all my clients do this, and we call it auditing your subscriptions. So number one, are those things even necessary in your life when it comes to whether it's financially or your time? For me, I audit subscriptions. I audit things I spend my money on. I audit the friends and the family I surround myself with on a very regular basis, right? I used to do this. I used to just continue to invest time in people just because I used to continue to invest time in people, right? Like that friend that is no longer serving you in your life. And I don't mean they're a bad person. I don't mean you have to get into a fight with them or totally break up with them. But I mean, you can create separation and distance from them if they're no longer on the same path that you're on. And that goes for Netflix or anything else as well. So I think being able to look at that and analyze those things in all aspects of your life actually free up time, money, energy, and everything else in between.
Right. Well, I am, we got you frozen on the video, so I'm going to real quick try to fix that, but we'll keep talking.
So here's another thing I don't know if you've brought up with clients, but something that I'm doing my introspective, trying to figure out why I do all of the work and none of the play is evasion. Works a little easier for me to understand, grasp, control, wherever you want to put it. Relationships, friends, people, social commitments, that stuff just honestly baffles me. So I really just try to fill my time with work, and it's a form of evasion.
So for me, I would just come back and say, are you truly happy? And it's not just you. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
the
anybody,
proverbial you. Sure.
Yeah. Are you happy living that life? Like one day in the future, when it's all getting ready to wrap up, right? If you can reflect and go, was this the life that I wanted to lead? Sorry,
they're coming for you, bro.
Apparently an emergency out there. Was this a life well lived? Did I enjoy the entire road, or did I just tell myself that I'm enjoying it when I actually wasn't, to protect myself from the things I might not be so good at? Right. So I think being very open and honest with yourself is the first step in that direction.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm pretty happy because I have a lot of guitars hanging on the wall.
What kind of music?
My habit is satiated for the moment, because you make a shit ton of money so you can buy all the stuff you want, but then I'm finding that my unhappiness is coming from not having any time to fondle them.
Yeah, what kind of music do you play?
Both kinds, country and western. I'm kidding.
Okay. My father was he played blues. He played harmonica and bass, so he traveled all over the place.
Well, if you have what is it, Apple Music or Spotify, you can readily check out some of my former projects in Elements or Channel 27. Shameless, gratuitous promotion. I think that's the first time I've done it on this show for the band stuff. That's funny.
Slide it in there.
Yeah. Dude, I haven't really, whatever. I have a weird thing about gratuitous self-promotion, but this felt natural just because it just sort of fell into place.
I teed it up for you.
You did. Knocked it out of the park. It was a line drive to short. I'm out at first. Let's just be honest. No, it is a thing, like, I think you're right. I would say that in the past I found my true calling and I got to live it for a few years, but that it fades, and it's not an industry that is. It's more like winning the lottery. Being a touring musician, touring for your own music, it's either a hard road that you got to pay for yourself, or you get really, really lucky for a little while, unless you're a huge megastar, which also you got really, really lucky. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm in the retirement mode, but I'm still working hard because I already did the thing I wanted to do for like 9 years.
That's amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of cool stories, but then you're like, I want to go back. Like, I've never felt more needed or more of a sense of purpose than leaving Minot, North Dakota, and having it to Fargo by 2:00 the next day for sound check. It's like, we got to go. We got to get there. We got to be there. To play for 45 minutes and tell your story and get on to the next one. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm really happy to meet you, and I'm really sad tonight too, because it's like a lot of introspective stuff happening on the man tools.
I mean, for me, man, rather than framing it as going back, I think it's just going forward. It's just a different act of your life. Right, you could be amazing in one act, and then what's the next thing? Is it going to play music again?
Right.
Sure. Is it developing other musicians? Possibly. Is it getting more on the instrument side? Whatever it is, that's just act 2.
Yeah, it really does. It does fall into that, and you have to adjust, adapt, scale back, or scope, because I mean, you go on the road with major bands and you go do this stuff, and then you're the old dude playing covers in the bars, like in your 40s. So you still take pride in it. So, and it still kicks a lot of ass. So whatever,
Value there.
wherever you scale to, you just need to keep your. I feel like you just need to keep your what am I trying to say? Your passion for it, and it's 5 or 5,000. You're playing to 5 people or 5,000. You're whatever.
I agree. You're just adding value wherever it is that you're adding value.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I still subscribe to that old Zig Ziglar adage: if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you need.
That's a good one.
And I try to help a lot of people with a lot of stuff.
Man, that's awesome.
It's a compulsion. I should be in a different profession. I'm having a crisis of identity. Well, did we finger out the video there, Trevor?
Nope, we sure didn't.
Sure didn't. Oh,
so that's fine. We'll just chat audio only. It's fine. That's the important part is what Ryan has to say, not necessarily his beautiful face, but
not about my face, man.
Right? He's breaking the bell curve over here. myascensionbydesign.com. So that's where everybody can get a hold of you, get a look at. Is it like a forgive me for my ignorance, but is it like
No.
One of these, like a program or personal coaching? What are we looking at?
Good question. It's both. So it really depends. To be honest with you, the first step in any journey for me, actually, this is on my side. I have to want to work with the person. Like I say this is really not from a place of ego. I have a few different businesses. The stuff that I do on the coaching and mentorship side, there's a lot of deep work that goes on, whether it's coaching one-on-one or in one of my programs. I have to want to root for that person because I literally invest in them, in their success, in the relationships they have. So for me, if I don't vibe with someone, right, I don't work with them. I will refer them to someone else that I truly think can help and serve them. I have no problem doing that. I have a vast resource of people in other areas and other spaces. So I do that stuff all the time. So the first step is the phone call. And then depending upon where they are in their life, right, what their struggles or their challenges might be, they might be best suited for just working with me one-on-one. They might be suited to actually be in a group with other men that are going through the same types of things, because in my opinion, there's nothing more powerful than community, right? Being around other people that have either just gone through it, have gone through it a while ago, and can give some strategies, not just coming from me, and then also being there to hold people accountable and to give them support. So that's the group program. And then I also do, obviously we didn't do any because of the pandemic and all that nonsense, but I do these things called the Ascension Experience, where we actually get together as a group and do some pretty cool shit, depending upon what you think is cool. But I'm all about like pushing myself physically, so climbing mountains, hiking, going out in the desert, and then we apply fitness and business and family, and we kind of make a 1, 2, or 3 day thing out of it. So there's just different avenues depending upon where someone is and what they're looking for.
I dig your attitude on that. If I have bands that come in the studio that are they just want to get stoned and hang out and jam, and I'm like, that's great. Not how I work. I'm more organized, and I want to see like a schedule, and not that you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle on a time frame. Let's just be real, right? Like,
yeah.
But if it's not. It's what the point I'm trying to make. It's not just about that like $600 a day.
No,
it's not about it. Like I could do so many other things versus or work with different people than just hang around. But the thing is, if that's your vibe, that's how you create music. That's awesome, and you probably create good music. You need to go. I'll refer them to like Bill Douglas because that's his vibe. Go over to Royal. Smoke a doobie, get a high, hang out for like all day, work for like 4 minutes, and create magic. And that's the vibe, Yeah, I get it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
I used to, like, early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I was like, part of it was fear, right? Part of it was poverty mindset, like, oh, I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So then I start to conform outside of who I actually am, and then I'm actually no longer useful to that person because I'm not being very authentic or transparent or congruent with who I am. I'm very thankful I'm way on the other side of that, and I try to coach and mentorship people to learn through that negative experience of mine that you want to do business or work or be in relationships with people that have a good working environment, whatever that is for you and the people you work with. So I think that's super important, man. And I think you painted a better picture than I did.
Just only through pure example, you know?
Yeah.
Just because at the end of the day, had they worked with me for that 10 hours, 14 hours, nothing good would have come of it.
Yep.
No, their art would have suffered, and it would have been my fault for conforming just to make a paycheck. Yep. We have responsibilities. I mean, we do not take this podcast seriously. But on the other side of it, we take it super seriously because there's that responsibility to, just betterment, towards betterment, whatever that looks like. Even if it's just the betterment of somebody's afternoon on their drive home, or, the podcast on their drive to work, and they giggle at something. Or they're like, God, those guys are stupid. It's, that whatever it may be.
I second that 1,000%. If people are willing to give us their time, then it better be worth the value, whatever that is for them. So, because they can't get that back. So, agreed.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think that's another kind of thing that we do a lot of those darn kids on this show. But, but I think that is one of those things that is becoming a generational, like,
I don't know. People are people.
When we deal, but like when I deal with like some of my kids' friends, my kids are pretty good about it. But some of their friends they don't understand when they're wasting someone, namely me,
time.
Yeah. And it's like it just hasn't been instilled in them that that's even a thing to consider.
Right. They're walking through life, myopically. They've got one lens, and they're just tunnel visioned. I watch these kids, like walking across the crosswalk, something, and I just hear the Smurfs theme in my head. It's like la 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 la. Just
the drive up here. Someone stepped out into a crosswalk, even though I had the green light. And of course, pedestrians have the right of way, which I'm not so sure about sometimes. And I had to sit there and wait for them to cross against the whatever it is, the hand up or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
La 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 la. And you know what? That just, I think what happens, or what's going to happen. Let me rewind, because you were talking about that curmudgeonly thing that we're getting towards, because we're getting old. We're like, get off my lawn, you damn kids, and we do poke fun at some of that, and we poke fun at ourselves because I never thought I'd sound like my grandpa.
Right.
I never ever thought I would, and now I am. But there is that thing that is going to allow for, like, I need to get into this coaching thing too, and Ryan's gonna have a whole lot more clients in about 10 years because they weren't even instilled the basic fundamentals from their parents. Time management, financial management, how to calculate small percentages, like how to leave a tip, how to balance a checkbook, which isn't so heavy anymore, but still. You talk to people about compound interest, the most powerful force in the universe, and they have no idea what it is.
So that it on that note, man, that it bothers me. And again, I am not father of the year. I grew up with a really rough childhood. My mother was an alcoholic, drug addict. My father had bipolar disorder and was in and out of prison. So for me, I know what lack of parenting looks like, and I know what it feels like. There's periods of time where I was sleeping in my car and the cops were at my house, and on my 21st birthday, I bailed my father out of prison. So when I see other parents that are not serving their children to set them up for as great of a future as is possible, it bothers me to my core, because the world is really challenging. It's unforgiving. There's a lot of hurdles and a lot of challenges. So if I don't feel as though parents are equipping their children with necessary tools, it really, really gets me at my core. So I not with my own kids, but we have also at Ascension, we have this thing called the Ascension Apprenticeship, where underserved communities that these kids don't have fathers in the home, we go back and try to work with these kids so they do have some sort of mentorship or guidance or path to help them as best as possible, because I think it's so important.
Yeah, we've had a number of discussions about how this thing that gets labeled as toxic masculinity is often actually a lack of masculinity in the home. You start looking at like kids raised by single moms, and we're not shitting on single moms anytime we talk about this stuff. Most single moms do the absolute best they can and raise good kids. But when you look at the instances of men that are going to prison for whatever, it's almost regardless of the crime, huge percentage that didn't grow up with dads. So, I mean, that type of thing is very important.
Yeah, and it's one more important thing to mention. I love that you guys talk about it, is no matter who we are, we always look for something similar to latch onto, right? So even though a single mom is maybe working 2 jobs and busting her ass to be the best parent possible, that boy in the home is still going to look to a man to fill a role.
Yep.
It is what it is. And if there's not the right role model in the house, they're going to find some role model. And sometimes that role model can be someone that has money or someone that has influence. And that's not going to always...
Or perceived money, perceived influence.
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%. And that's not going to always set the best example. So then off on the wrong path they go. And sometimes they get so far off the path, they don't even know how to get back on or what the right path is. So yeah, moms are trying, but these kids are gravitating towards, something like, and they find whatever the man is, whether it's an athlete who portrays himself as something, or, a gangster or a mobster or whatever, they latch onto something, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Well, from my end, being young and masculinely disenfranchised in the home, single mom, you latch onto, and living where we lived, you latch onto the heroes on TV.
Yep.
My guy was, the what was that show? Believe It or Not. It was Mork and Mindy. It was all the old school John Wayne stuff where they're rough and tumble, but they do the right thing every time. MacGyver, Captain Kirk, a bit of a cad, but they all do there was like a moral center to all the heroes that I had on Doctor Who. Holy shit! Like, that was my jam. And I
don't think they had those TV shows with the moral values anymore, though.
Exactly. That's where I was going to, and watching these shows with these, I ride for a motorcycle group called Bikers Against Child Abuse, and we are not mentors. We are not role models. We are an edifice against fear. That's it. It's a simple mission. Kids afraid, we show up. And in showing up, sometimes kids afraid, we kind of, hang outside the house, or if they want to show us their iPad or their show they're watching, and we'll sit and watch it and without judgment. And my judgment went nuts inside my brain when I'm watching Teen Titans and this little kid's watching this show, and I'm like, this show is fucked up. Sexual innuendo. Like, this is for kids?
Yeah.
I don't even have kids, and I'm freaking out. Like, this is like, oh my God, if Abby or, ever watched this show, I'd beat Trevor's ass. I'd be like, why are we watching Teen Titans?
Yeah.
So that also has changed. Bush had the song right, all Hollywood, all the movie heroes are losers now.
I happen to agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, the last great show was Firefly.
I couldn't even tell you. I know what that one is. I'm super protective. Some would say I'm overprotective, but I'm real guarded as to what happens in my house. And I'm not insulating my kids from everything in the world, but I'm certainly protecting them from certain things, especially at the age in which they're at.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I'm sure you're also invested in their time, where if they see or hear or are exposed to, something that anything that's on TV right now, you can give them context. You can let them know that look, people get naked and shake their ass in the streets, basically. Got it, for music videos. It's not what we do in this house. Like,
yep.
I get it. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna, I was gonna say, how horrible were we when we were kids? Like, looking at Trevor here, and I'm like, we really weren't all that bad. We were more into like blowing shit up and breaking stuff and wrecking. We wrecked that fucking camp truck like 3 times. We were rowdy. We weren't. I don't know. Yeah, it was a different kind of thing.
To your point though, being willing to have conversations with your kids when they see something or when they hear something, I enjoy that stuff, because I think you're going to connect with your kids on a different level and build a different bond and build trust.
Yeah.
So they don't have to hide stuff from you. So I welcome that kind of stuff, but I am mindful as to what's out there and what they're going to be exposed to at what age.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a balancing act, because on the one hand, if kids are too sheltered, they don't know how to deal with the world.
Basic.
And if you desensitize them, they're like, they see something really messed up going on, and they're like, that's not that big of a deal.
Not that big a deal. Whatever. What we're trying to do is give them the right tools.
Yeah.
Man tools. See how I tied that in there? Yeah.
Nice.
Love
Yeah.
that.
I mean, it really is. You get the right toolbox, keep them sharp and shiny. You'll be all right, no matter what gets thrown at you. So, in our pursuit to help younger men who are unable to cope. I mean, we have a suicide rate in this country that's out of control for young men, especially right now. Not to degrade anyone who identifies any other way, but this is our focus group, right? This is our constituency, young men, and they're not getting the tools that they need. The financial strain, because they're in their mid-20s and now they don't know, they got a job but they're always broke. They don't know how the hell to pay their bills or how to do stuff. They don't understand how to create a budget. Things like this that I'm sure that in many facets, that if you go to myascensionbydesign.com, there are probably tools, things to help out there.
I mean, I love it. For me, man, like I my videographer is awesome. He's actually on tour with a country guy right now. But next year, my son's names, my oldest is Blake, my middle is Brady, my youngest is Bryce. So he's gonna film us, and I'm gonna teach them how to build a business, right? So Blake and Brady build a business. It'll have a little fun play on words, but I'll take my 4-year-old, then we'll be 5 and then we'll be 3-year-old kids through how to build a business, from marketing to budgeting to sales and everything, and have a lot of fun with it, man. So I think these are the tools that, whether kids are as young as mine, or they're in their teens, or they're in their early 20s, deserve the right to have, so they can enjoy this life that is before them. They don't have to struggle in misery. So I love what you guys are doing, man. And I'm on mission to do the same thing.
Yo, well, I sit on the for Peregrine Charter School. They do a Shark Tank every year awesome. For their seniors who create businesses. You know, love that. Yeah, so much fun. To some of those cats, like, I'm just blown away. Obviously, you know, fresh minds that don't have limitations are like, oh, I'm going to build this and do that. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to be a millionaire. Like, if I had real money to throw at this, I'd do it. But that's not what we're doing today. And then you get some kids that you have to help them out, like with their business card, like down to that. They've got this great idea, but I pretended to call the phone number. I was like, ring, 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 ring. I was like, pick up your phone. He's like, ring. I was like, hi, what do you do? I got your business card here, and I have no idea what you do or what it's about. They're like, oh crap. So yeah, that kind of stuff. There are many tools out there. There's stuff out there, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. I still say we need more. I still say people are not finding it, or and I just want to tangent for a second. The fucking video games on our phones, the single serving time bandit pieces of shit that are on our phones, the stuff that keeps everything I'm scrolling through now. Every time I try to go to the podcast place to look for stuff, I come across an ad for like quick games, just play for 30 seconds. And I'm like, I know what this is. This is crack.
I made that mistake once.
Right?
Once.
I'm like, no.
So I was coming home from a seminar in Atlanta, and my flight got delayed. And you remember that Candy Crush?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to promote them, but yeah, that was basically.
Yeah. So I heard about it, and like everyone was like super into it, and I'm like, fuck that, no shot. I'm doing that. Not doing it. And I was listening to books on tape, and the book ended, and I looked down at my phone, flight delayed, and then I see that advertisement, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna do it just until my flight.
Yep.
4 months later, I'm at like level 7,000. Like my girlfriend is sitting on the couch, and you know, she's like, "Hey, I'm over here," and I'm like, "Just hold on a second. I just gotta beat this level."
Yeah.
And then my phone crashed, and the app got deleted, and it was the best thing that ever happened. I never made that mistake again.
Right. I mean, and you probably legitimately had some withdrawals.
Oh, literally,
yeah.
I would go to the app store and have my finger like right there, and then I would just be like, "No, you can't do it." Yeah, it's bad.
That short-term dopamine dump that you get from winning that little game. The one that's niggling at my brain is the one where the ad shows, you know, only people with a high IQ can figure this out. And I'm like, a fucking 4-year-old can figure this out. Like, no, I'll beat this right now. Wait, stop. That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
That's how they get you, bro.
I'm not going to prove them wrong. I'm like, this is an algorithm. I know exactly what this is, exactly what it's doing. Yeah, got to stay away from those ads. Like, to the point where now I don't get to surf my my porn on my phone, which is usually like sweetwater.com and musiciansfriend.com and Paul Reed Smith guitars and Soldano amps and all those, you know, that, yeah, I have a problem. I know I have a problem. It's the first step towards curing it, is getting a better job to buy all that stuff to solve my problem. It's the first step.
Or abstinence, one of the
No, I can't do it. It's funny because anybody knows me, I'm looking through my phone. Oh my God, I like start drooling, and they'll look over at it and be like, oh yeah, that is a pretty Brazilian rosewood neck. Yeah, so it's now inundated with all these video games. I can't watch a quick little tutorial because I love the tutorial stuff. Constantly looking at it. Guitar tutorial, drywall stuff, the handyman stuff, the music stuff, the music production stuff. Just like always want to see those little things. And now every 25 seconds you have an ad. It's getting hard to just even watch or enjoy the internet anymore without getting time banded.
Yeah, man, it's just creating some boundaries. I do it, man. I'd be lying if I told you I never was on social media. But I will say, okay, I'm literally going to give myself 1 minute, and I'll do it for 1 minute, and that's it. I don't care if I'm in the middle of fucking reading something. I just built this muscle where I don't get lost in it, because I used to get lost in it. I used to literally be scrolling and looking and hitting play, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, holy shit, an hour is gone.
Yeah.
It just like evaporates your time. So I knew I had to, again, change that thing about me too.
Yeah, we did the Man Tools episode a couple years back on the radio, because Facebook was becoming a thing, and it was in its infancy and starting to become a problem. Everybody just being on it, playing games and doing shit and doing stuff. And Trevor and I both said, well, what we're going to do is it's always going to be educational. So like my feed is just full of how-tos and life hack stuff and, news feed and, pretty guitars, that kind of stuff. But it's even now, even falling down those rabbit holes of even in the learning, I'm bettering myself. The justification for wasting time. Now it is permeated and becomes something else with this. Here's an ad. Here's this ad. Here's this ad. And I thought, that's why we got rid of cable, right? Like, so we wouldn't have to deal with all this.
Yeah, but I always tell people this. They did what heroin dealers do, right?
Yeah.
Like they just give you a little bit for free. Like they gave you they gave us social media without all the ads, until it felt so good that now we're like, I could deal with a 30-second or a 12-second ad, no biggie. And that's how they make their money. It's super.
Well, yeah, I forget who said it, but I've seen it a number of times talking about social media. If they're not charging you something, you're the product.
You're the product. So with all that said, that whole tangent, that whole rabbit hole had a purpose. I want to know how the three of us can take advantage of that now. Knowing what we know, we're smart guys. How do we put our ads and our ideas and our goal of bettering mankind and making men manly again and helping men be the best men they can be? How do we basically manipulate them, knowing what we know and seeing what we're seeing? How do we get to that point?
This is what I do. I speak to the problem, right? Literally, I run ads, right? If you're a man struggling with this, and this, keep watching. If you're a man struggling, I've figured out this thing on how to help you, right? If you don't want help, keep moving. If you do want help, click here. So I believe in providing value. Like I'm not selling snake oil.
Right.
I genuinely want these people that are struggling with XYZ problems to have solutions and to have answers. So that's where I think this social media monster can be done for good. If you have integrity, if you're providing value and you're putting it in front of the people that need it most, I think that's using this stuff that we're talking about right here for good.
Yeah. And I think that's a good place to close.
I think so.
Yeah.
We've fooled around long enough, as my grandma used to say. Guys, I've fooled around long enough. It's time to do some work. Oh, my Grammy. She says hi, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I called her yesterday. She's
Awesome.
like, how's it going? She's 82 years old and spunkier than I will ever be.
I love that.
Yep. She's go get her. Go get her.
All right. Well, we've as we've mentioned a couple of times, the website is myascensionbydesign.com. And Ryan, I would assume all of the socials are there as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not really big on social.
Okay.
A few of my friends were busting my balls, so I created a private Facebook group. So I invest in that and try to help people there in an open forum. They don't have to be a member of anything other than the free Facebook group.
Right.
So Ascension of the Entrepreneur is the private Facebook group. Again, it's free.
Okay.
All people have to do is literally just say join group. And then if they're struggling with a challenge, whether it's fitness, family, finances, whatever it is, you just throw it in the group and you'll get direct feedback from me. I'll promise that. And then I'll tell you the group of guys that are in there so far are really good guys, and they're always willing to help and give support and recommendations of stuff that they've went through. So just trying to create a community there that people are just looking to give back.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we'll see you on the website.
Awesome.
All right. Good night, man.
Be good, fellas.
All right.
Right on. That was a cool dude. You guys please check out my Ascension by Design, or .com.
Yes. .com.
And yeah, I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a lot of stuff you and I would talk about over the last couple of months, getting that out here in the world, and that seemed like a perfect host to discuss things with.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with this, that, or the other, and you're work-life balance, yeah, maybe go chat with Ryan. I think I'm going to. On that note, we should do, speaking of work and life, we should do our mid-roll.
We should.
See, I just crammed it in there, man. Just
that's the way to do it.
jammed it in there.
As always. No, I don't want to show my script. Come on.
It's a real podcast.
That's a real podcast. Okay.
All right, you find it, I'll read it. As always, Man Tools is brought to you by our friends at EXO Auto Works, Colorado Springs, home of the $40 synthetic blend oil change.
There we go.
EXO knows that finding the problem is the first step to getting your car right, which is why EXO Auto Works provides diagnostics. They also do fleet services, fluid services, repair services, and much, much more. They're actually downstairs working around customers' cars right now, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. So they get after it. They work on all makes and models, including high-mileage cars, and they offer a 24,000-mile, 2-year nationwide warranty. Call EXO at 719-375-3232 or go online to exoautoworks.com. To book your appointment right away, give them a call. Thanks, EXO. Man Tools loves you.
That's right. And then I think we should just use some history and roll on out.
I mean, I'm down with some history.
Let's do it. Let me find the right tab. And we'll save these news stories and stuff that we had queued up for next week. So we'll just do the week in his story.
First on the flank, get it started, get fired at his flank.
Let's get learned.
All right. This week in history, October 28th, 969 AD, after a prolonged siege, the Byzantines end 300 years of Arab rule in Antioch, and of course they find the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Oh, holy hand grenade. 4 is right out. Badass, she's a witch. Oh my god, the rabbit is the funniest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail. You need to check that out.
Yep.
Let's see, October 29th, 1998. John Glenn, at the age of 77, became the oldest person up to that point to go into space. Of course, now William Shatner has that record.
Yep.
But he went on. He was part of the crew of Space Shuttle Discovery. Of course, he was an astronaut much earlier on in his life as well.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, he was.
Was he? Did he also pilot some stuff? Or
He probably did.
break some speed records, maybe?
He might have.
Could have.
Him and Chuck Yeager.
It wasn't. Yeah. Apparently, I do believe, after he passed, that when they did the postmortem, they did find balls of steel.
Probably. Let's see. October, where am I? 30th. There we go. October 30th, 1922. Mussolini sent in his black shirts to Rome to take over the capital of Italy. The takeover was almost without bloodshed. The next day, Mussolini was appointed prime minister. And of course, he centralized all power in himself as the leader of the fascist party, and then attempted to create an Italian empire in alliance with Hitler's Germany. Didn't quite work out so well for him.
I love all the medals.
Yeah, I was like, where did they get? What wars did they fight in to get those?
I love it. Smacks. History repeats itself.
Mm-hmm. That was the participation trophies of the 20s.
Nice. I made my safety meeting. I made my 6 month. I made my 9 month. I made my 12 month.
Let's see. October 31st, 1517. Martin Luther nails his 95 Theses to the door of the church in Wittenberg, Germany. Luther's theories and writings, of course, brought in what became known as Protestantism, and it shattered the external structure of the medieval Catholic Church, and at the same time revived religious consciousness in Europe.
Let's just be real. The Catholic Church was selling forgiveness and spots in heaven,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy's moral code wasn't going to let that stand.
Yes. Well, I'll put it this way. If it was actually in the Bible, he would have been like, that's fine.
Yeah.
The problem was they went, and you had to get to a certain point before you could even look at a Bible. He became a, well, yeah. he clearly was educated and became a monk.
Yeah.
And when he, in his studies down that road, he started being allowed to read a Bible, and he went,
wait a minute,
this stuff's not in there. And the church said, shut the fuck up.
Shut up, dude. We're making money. How do you think we afford these gold chalices and all these hookers?
So, yes.
Yeah, I said it.
The other interesting thing about him is he did not want to start a new church. He wanted to reform, which is why Lutherans call it Reformation Sunday when we celebrate the Sunday coming up after Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, depending on how
Dia de los Muertos ese. For my people. Mira. Está bien, ¿no?
Let's see. November 1st, 1968. I did not realize this went back that far.
Yeah, man.
1968, the Motion Picture Association of America officially rolls out their rating system to indicate age-appropriate ratings for film. PG-13 was not one of the originals, I want to point out. That came out in the 80s, and I think it was directly a compromise to get Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom,
because
if I'm not mistaken.
Scary, melty.
And they were going to give it an R rating.
Yep.
And
They
Lucas and
invented
the
a
guys,
category.
said, hey, this isn't, come on, R?
R? It's not like we got soft.
And I think they kind of went, come on, a 13-year-old could watch this with no problem. And they went, fine, PG-13 is what we'll call it.
Parental guidance, 13. The original was because of some of the Disney movies were a little too adulty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which Disney was fucking rad in the 60s.
Dude, cartoons were not meant for kids when they first
never
arrived on the scene.
No. But even like, look at Treasure Island.
Oh,
Dude gets shot in the face, and blood and shit. Like, come on.
Yep.
Maybe kids weren't such.
They were less pussies back then, too. Let's see, November 2nd, 1772, the first committees of correspondence are formed in Massachusetts under Samuel Adams. This was kind of the start of what would become, obviously, the Revolutionary War. This was the first kind of grumblings of, we should do something about these taxes. And it was the first overtures of, if instead of 13 separate colonies were some kind of united front.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. We'll stand a better chance of getting these overturned.
If we form a republic, kind of like, back in the day, that might work better.
Yeah.
That was the grumblings.
And finally,
yes,
this week in history, November 3rd, 1973, NASA launched Mariner 10, which is the first probe to reach Mercury. And, looks like it was made in 1973.
Well, hey, man, they were in the early 70s, they were shooting probes inward.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they shot one outward.
Yep.
Fastest moving man-made object to this date. I believe it's at 250,000 miles an hour. It's only taken like 45 years to reach the Oort cloud.
Yeah. We're saving it for next week, but we're going to cover a story where the director of NASA finally talks candidly about UFOs.
Oh, wow.
The current guy.
Yeah.
And it's not just a blanket like denial. He's the bottom line is he's like, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And he talks about like the Navy pilots that have in recent years picked up stuff on their radars and it just first it's down here and then in an instant it's up here. And it's like nothing we know of on Earth can do that.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say the sneaky Chinese or Russians haven't built something, but
no, it's an unidentified flying object.
Did you know there's a new acronym? It's like unidentified aerial phenomenon now.
Yeah.
Because they might not be objects.
Right.
Like, come on.
Is it
splitting hairs here, guys?
Is it made of matter? Then it's a fucking object.
Well, that of course brings us to the end of the week in history, which is also the end of our show.
So we're going to wrap this up.
We are.
All right. Thank you all for watching and or listening and joining us on all of your devices, platforms, and wherever you poop.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here with you in your moment of need. Thanks to our sponsors, EXO AutoWorks and Enharmonic Studios. And for the last time, till further notice, Madrid Maintenance, closing their doors. Insurance has lapsed. So no more. Let that policy, resolve itself. No more. Season's closed. Customers are taken care of and handed off to the hopefully the next generation of awesome maintenance company who we will try to get to sponsor our show. Yeah. Thank you to our guest, Ryan Braves. That was actually very, very good conversation. If you would like to go check him out again, it is at myascensionbydesign.com. Thank you for watching and checking us out on the web at mantoolsmedia.com, linktree/mantoolsmedia, including a link to buy our new soap, the Toolbar, available in black oak, fresh cut wood, exfoliating cedar, and coming soon, Hellbent for Leather! Yeah. All from Crafts by Carolyn Lane on Etsy.
That's right.
Use support on locals link to get monthly. Oh my god,
get members only content for just $3 a month.
Monthly. I just want to say monthly. What else happens monthly?
Well,
the bills.
The moon goes through a cycle. Your lady
Shark
goes through
Week.
a cycle.
Shark Week. Use the support on locals link to get members only content for just $3 a month. And now through the new year, you'll get 1 month free with code Xmas21, Xmas21. Tomorrow, you'll be able to watch our guide to getting divorced on locals. So we will be performing that.
Momentarily,
momentarily. But yeah, tomorrow you'll be able to watch our guide to getting divorced, Man Tools Guide to Getting Divorced on locals. Merch is at man-tools-merch.creator-spring.com.
Or find it on the link tree.
Of all the dumb shit that I was trying to word out, I got that one right.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. So yeah, new merch, guys. For various reasons.
Most of the designs have been slid over already. And the one of the big reasons why we're going over there is we can change the prices. So if we felt like doing a sale, we could. We can't do that with Redbubble. Redbubble just
the rando.
Yeah, when they feel like doing a sale is when there's a sale.
Yep.
That's A. B, over on Teespring, or I think it's just called Spring now. We can do content. So from now on, for example, when we do this guide to getting divorced, it won't just be on locals. You'll be able to buy it if you don't want to commit to $3 a month over on the merch site. So that's how we're going to roll from now on. Well, I mean, until something else changes.
That's how we're doing it.
And the other cool thing is if we get enough Instagram followers is a big one, and YouTube. If we get up to the point where we can be monetized on either of those, we can directly embed merch in our posts in both places. So
that's phenomenal.
That would be amazing. Which means if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, find it on Linktree. That's the best way, because we aren't even at the point where we can do the custom URL. So find it on Linktree. And as always, we should probably close with this all the time. Anyways, if you like what we do, please hit the like button on whatever thing you're watching us on. Subscribe to us on whatever thing you're watching or listening. And it'd be even cooler if you leave a rating or review.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Those are
smash that like button, bro. Ring the bell.
Yeah. You don't need to smash anything or ring anything.
I'm gonna leave Trevor this, and then we're gonna say goodnight, everybody.
All right.
Right. Yeah.
So good night, everybody. Nope.